a lot of good speeches already made this morning. Honorable Deputy Prime Ministers, Prime Minister, government ministers, Chairman of Vanuatu Maori, Chairman of Vanuatu Christian Council, Secretary General of Vanuatu Christian Council, Members of Parliament, and I acknowledge the presence of the owners of the land, the Chief Mantua Kalsakau, and probably other chiefs from South Efate, also Paturisu Council of Chiefs, the Secretary General of the Pacific Conference of Churches, leaders of West Papua, resistance group who are with us today, chiefs, women leaders, youth leaders, disability groups, chairman and members of the West Papua Unification Committee, invited guests, friends of Vanuatu, men, women, and children who are present today. I would like all of you to stand with me to give 1 minute silence in memory of many thousands of people killed in our neighboring country, West Papua, freedom fighters, civilians, leaders of West Papua resistance movement, some who have died recently, some who have undergone operations in hospital. We heard from Basalan, our brother Andy Masemba is in Central Hospital, so let's observe 1 minute silence in memory of them. Thank you. Be seated. Before I say something regarding what we have come to witness today, this important and historical gathering, I want to say something about the 29th of November, the Unity Day. I think most of us, probably young men and women, you have not heard the full story. So I will just briefly tell you a story about 29th of November, the Unity Day. What is it? In 1975, those who are like me, who were probably going to school at the time, I was at the university, the two colonial governments decided to have a new system of representation in Vanuatu, from the old advisory council to a new form of probably upper level representation called the Representative Assembly. So they called an election in 1975, and every political party contested, which at the time probably about maybe 2 or 3 major political parties, Vanuatu Party, the Union of Political Party, probably Tan Union was affiliated with the Union of Political Parties, and probably Nagriamel, and maybe the Toke Party, were probably the only political parties at the time. They contested the election in 1975 for the Representative Assembly, and Vanuatu Party won most of the seats, which because of the wide support of Vanuatu Party at the time. That's National Party of the Vanuatu Party, which later changed its name. And then, because of that, the two colonial powers, England and France, tried to manipulate the system so that they could reduced the number of votes in the Representative Assembly of Vanuatu Party. So they had what they call interest groups representation. Interest group representation include the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and the Cooperative Federation, and some of the chiefs were appointed. At the time there was no Malfatu Maori. The two colonial government actually appointed chiefs to represent them at the Representative Assembly. As a result, the majority that the Vanuatu Party received was diminished by this political manipulation of two governments. So what happened? When they tried to vote, the Vanuatu Party was outvoted because of the special interest groups. Well, they did not stand in the election, they were actually handpicked and appointed by the colonial government. So from that time, Vanuatu Party decided to walk out of the system. And so they marched out of the House of Representatives, Representative Assembly, and in November 1977, they set up what they call BPG, People's Provincial Government. People's Provincial Government. So it was the People's Provincial Government that started what they call civil disobedience. Civil disobedience and non-violence. The same strategy that Mahatma Gandhi did for India and the kick out the British in Indian subcontinent, which included Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh. So this is what happened at the time in 1977 in Vanuatu. Civil disobedience, non-violence, and they control most of the islands. The two governments would not visit any islands in Vanuatu. They have to go down to Vanuatu Party office and get a pass or an ID to go to visit Tongo or to go visit Tana, to go visit Malaguna. And it was the BPG, People's Provincial Government, that forced the two governments to eventually change the Representative Assembly. They had to ask the first Prime Minister, George Falsakau, to resign, and they put a more moderate leader, a priest, Father Janet Lemang, who would fill up the National Unity Government. And so Vanuatu Party joined the government in 1978, late 1978, with condition that when they come in, they will draft the Constitution. Only on those conditions, for three conditions: drafting of the Constitution, new rules for elections, and a date of independence. So that's basically what happened. It was to this day. On the 9th of November 1977, the establishment of BPG that forced the two governments to actually agree to set up a national unity government to work towards drafting of the Constitution, making preparation for the election, which happened in November 1979, and which led the way to eventual independence in 1980. So it's very important that we gather here today, as the Parliamentary Secretary reminded us yesterday, that it's important that we gather during this Unity Day in Vanuatu to also think about the unity of various groups in West Papua to unite and reconcile and unite and work for the future. I think various speakers have talked about the history of West Papua and the struggle of West Papua, and I'm not going to go into that again. I just want to remind us all that too many people have died. Far too many people have died in West Papua. Children, women, young people, men have died in West Papua. Too many have been tortured, in prison, Too many women and girls have been raped by Indonesian security forces. Too many people have died. And I think any right-thinking person in this world, we must do something about it. We cannot continue to allow this to happen. And that's what our leaders have decided. Our leaders have decided since independence. When the first Prime Minister, Vanuatu 1rd Dec, said, and I remind us, when we get our independence, we said, Vanuatu will not be totally free until whole Melanesia is free. Vanuatu will not be totally free until the Pacific is free. And at that time, when Walter was telling of this, the French were carrying out the nuclear testing in Monoroa in the Secretary General of PCC's island in Tahiti. They were doing that. But it was through our support and our struggle with the Tahitian people that the French stopped their nuclear testing in Tahiti. Only last week, about 3 weeks ago, I went to New Caledonia and met with the President of France, François Hollande, and today the French are with us and very much involved in climate change negotiations and trying to reduce greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. And he came to talk with us, the Pacific leaders, that next year in Paris, there's the 421 in Paris, the climate change conference. Every Pacific leader should go and talk about adopting a comprehensive nuclear agreement to reduce greenhouse gases below 2 degrees centigrade. And when I was in Umea, I was saying all this, I was just thinking that about 2 or 3 decades ago, the French were carrying out nuclear testing, contaminating our atmosphere, and today they are in a full round swing with us to talk about climate change when we were talking about this in 1977 and 80, and they wouldn't listen to us. But today they know that the world needs to tackle the issue of environment. So we are slowly changing people. You know, Vanuatu is small, but we are slowly changing people's mentality. And I think the previous speaker said, today is the right time. Today is the right time that we are meeting here. Today is the right time. Of all the times in the past or in the future, today is the right time. So we need to make a maximum use of our time with our leaders from West Papua, so they can agree on some strategies to work on with us within our region to free West Papua. I think the history of West Papua, so one thing is clear. It's the history of greed. Greed. Greed is our, I think in Islam, I don't know what they call in Islam, but greed. Selfishness. Greed. Greed for money. The big powers, Western powers, the big powers, hunger for money, greed, only sell them outright for West Papua. And but if we have to tackle this issue, we have to get the United States in, England in, Germany, the big powers, France. It's all to do with greed, greed for money, and also greed for spheres of influence, political influence. So that's why we are gathered here, and I want to deeply welcome our leaders from West Papua, were able to join us. And as Pastor Allen, the chairman of Unification Committee, stated earlier, that we are only providing space for them to come and meet and discuss their issues. I see today's paper, Indonesia, today's telephone said, Indonesia wants Vanuatu, about the hosting of this meeting. The Foreign Affairs sent me that diplomatic note, a copy. I saw it on Friday night. But Vanuatu is a free democratic country. Vanuatu is a free democratic country. Any groups are allowed to come here and meet, whether church group or cultural group or political groups. So we welcome them. Maybe Indonesia might wish to retaliate. They are welcome to retaliate. When we came in, there was an agreement signed by Vanuatu government and Indonesia called Development Cooperation Agreement with Indonesia. I'm not happy with that agreement. If they want to retaliate, I can terminate that agreement. But anyway, it's their right. If they can retaliate, they can retaliate. This conference, this unification conference came about because for the first time last year, during the last year's MSC summit in New Caledonia, for the first time, Vanuatu, after the application for membership submitted to MSC Secretariat by the West Papua National Coalition for Liberation, particularly Tono Tuame, Led Tono Tuame, Andi Amisemba, and Rex Semakiak. That application was discussed at the MSC Summit in New Caledonia last year with former Prime Minister Mona Kausil and the Deputy Prime Minister at the time, now Parliamentary Secretary Edward Natabay, and I accompanied them to New Caledonia. At that summit meeting, the leaders discussed the application of West Papua for membership within the MSC. Vanuatu supported that application. However, others fell because of the lobby by Indonesia, and Indonesia is lobbying a lot, pitching out money to MSC members, and because of the lobby of Indonesia, that there are more groupings in West Papua, that we need the MSC should reject this application. So the summit discussed the application, and for the first time MSC adopted a resolution which was drafted by Vanuatu. That resolution was drafted by Vanuatu delegation, and submitted to the MSC, and for the first time in history, MSC resolved that the West Papua, the indigenous people of West Papua, have a right to self-determination and independence. And this is the first time in history that a sub-regional group consisting of Fiji, Vanuatu, Solomon and Papua New Guinea, the Melanesian countries, and probably the most important countries in the South Pacific in terms of population, in terms of resources. So they approve that West Papua Melanesian people have a right to self-determination and independence. However, because the application, according to others, was not representative of every grouping in West Papua, that MSC should send a fact-finding mission to West Papua to ascertain whether there are other groupings. So therefore, a foreign ministers group led by the Foreign Minister of Fiji was sent to Indonesia and to West Papua, and they did a very enlightening visit early in the morning and probably spent, I think, probably less than 4 hours or 5 hours in Jayapura, and they came back and did a report. And the report basically confirmed the Indonesian views that yes, there are other groups in West Papua. So we discussed this report in June of this year at a special MSC summit in Port Moresby, which I attended. Apparently the Prime Minister of Fiji, Komodo Bainimarama, could not come because he was busy fundraising for his election. But it's only me, Peter O'Neill, Prime Minister Solomon, and Cotton Garcia from Solomon, who apparently lost his election last week, and a leader from the Caledonia, Victor Tudukoro. We discussed this report, and although I tried to amend the report, they said, no, this is a report of the Foreign Ministers meeting, which basically says that there are other groups in West Papua. So we could not agree on the application submitted by West Papua National Coalition for Liberation, but we passed a resolution in Port Moresby, which say basically that we are rejecting this application, but West Papuans, if they come under one group, one unified group, they could submit an application to MSG for observer status of full membership. And I was very, very glad that the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea himself suggests that particular track. That if they unify, they could come and submit another application. So we will be happy to receive the ministers from, I think there are probably 3 or 4 ministers from, including the governor of the National Capital District, Port Moresby, who will probably be arriving tomorrow to join us. So I just want to say that this conference was organized by the civil society, by Vanuatu Christian Council and the Vanuatu National Council of Chiefs of Fat Maori, to bring the various groupings in West Papua in line with the MSC resolution from Port Moresby, so that they can discuss and maybe form a unified bloc, and they would submit another application to MSG for further consideration. So I wish all the various groupings, various assistance grouping, West Papua, starting from tomorrow, that you will have a good meeting. You are free to meet and discuss various issues and come up with your plans, maybe a new roadmap to unify all your leaders, your groups, to ensure that it's a peaceful and dignified process to achieve self-determination and eventual independence for your motherland. So with these words, I want to close here, and I want everyone to stand up to ask for us to give a slogan, the West Papuan slogan for freedom. And I'm sure you all know. When I say Papua, you said Merdeka. You ready? Papua! Merdeka! Papua! Merdeka! Papua! Merdeka! Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. So, Vanuatu 1rd Dec speech for you.